to Gordon Chang. He is the author of Plan Red, China's project to destroy America. Gordon, it's always great to see you. Nice to have you here on the Hill.
Well, thank you so much, Blake.
So you do not think, as there is now clearly this back and forth, here we go again with China. You do not think that Xi Jinping is going to back down. Why?
I think that Xi Jinping has created a political environment in Beijing where only the most hostile answers are considered to be acceptable, which means he's boxed himself in. Now, the economically rational thing for him to do would be to come to terms with President Trump quickly. But I don't think that he can do that, which means that China is now in a position where there are no good solutions. And Xi Jinping can actually take the Chinese economy down because he can't do what is economically rational.
So there's history here, right, Gordon? 2018, 2019, we saw how it all unfolded then. And I think back to a conversation that I had in December, leading into the administration with Cleet Willems. He was one of the top negotiators for the U.S. team in the first go-around. And he basically said to me that at first blush, the first $50 billion, China did not move. I want to play part of that interview for you, get your reaction on the other side.
When the U.S. first took the $50 billion action against China, the first set of tariffs, China basically told us to take a hike.
Okay.
They didn't engage. They didn't take it seriously.
It was nothing to them.
Correct.
Okay.
But as he continued to ramp it up, all of a sudden they came to the table and they wanted to deal.
So $50 billion, take a hike, which is kind of where we are now with the 34% on roughly $150 billion in imports. You think Xi's boxed in? How does he respond then? What's coming?
Well, in 2018, China picked up somewhere between 75 to 81% of the cost of President Trump's Section 301 tariffs. And so far, we're seeing China make moves to pick up the cost of this new round of tariffs. They're starting to weaken their currency, and also they're increasing subsidies to exporters to the U.S. So I think Xi Jinping's going to try and do that for as long as he can. But this time, he doesn't have as much money. So I'm not so sure that he can hold out for as long as he did in 2018.
There were some reports out of China today that he might front load some of the stimulus there, right?
They'll try and do that. And I think that they will try to intimidate the U.S. with these export bans on rare earths. But I don't think that they're going to work. The last time China tried export bans on rare earths, the first time they did it was in 2010 against the Japanese. That effort collapsed within a couple months. Subsequent efforts haven't been much more successful. So I don't think the Chinese really have much ammunition. They're the smaller economy. We're the trade deficit one.
Let me leave you with this, and I got to run, but there was a trade deal last time. It did end with a trade deal at the back end of 2019. Do you think a trade deal ends with the U.S. and China this go-around?
They probably will try to get one, but I'm sure President Trump remembers that the Chinese violated the Phase 1 trade deal of January 2020. Right. So I'm not so sure he's going to be fooled again.
Gordon Chang, thank you, sir. I'm sure we'll talk to you again soon. Appreciate it. Thank you for watching. And make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.